we have John Strieter, who is from Huron County. He is going to be sharing a little bit about his operation.
My name's John Strieter. I farm in Bayport, Michigan. We are a cash crop, alfalfa and straw, alfalfa and mixed hay and straw farm. We are producing around 2,000 acres of hay per year, harvesting it I call it 3.5 times. There's some of it we do get 4 cuttings on, depending on how our season goes. And today I'm going to be talking about the Chinook Hay Dryer that I purchased. There is a couple different machines on the market right now, but this is the one that we chose 2 years ago. There's a variety of reasons why. The actual drying part is very similar, but this machine has a little more automation to it, is why we went that way. But to get started, the machine itself, my machine can handle 3 bales at a time, and our goal is to dry hay down from no higher than 24% moisture is about the limit, down to 12%. We have a pretty good environment to make hay to get it in 3 to 4 days down to 20%. Sometimes the last 5 to 7 points is very hard to get out. We have done baleage in the past, and we have done our baleage on the low end of the moisture, meaning it's like 75% dry matter. So we're trying to, with limited markets there, the idea is to not run an entire production year through the dryer, but to try to have another avenue to not have to make it all into baleage when it doesn't get dry enough. So I guess I'll talk a little more about the machine here. I have 2 machines. They are capable of doing approximately 12 ton an hour together. The bales, like I said, I ran 3 at a time. They're pushed in there from the bale, the next set of bales. This is the exit on the other end. Once they're on there, the needles come into the bale, and it blows hot air into there for approximately 20-minute cycle time. The air that we're putting in is 180 to 200 degrees, and the goal is to get the bale to 140 degrees as quick as possible. That mark is where the hay is going to be considered dry. Here's another video of it loading. This is what it looks like when we're loading. So the air enters the bale through the needles, and each bale has approximately 120 needles going into it. The machine itself has 340 needles, and that's where it's getting its fast dry time from. The air is being injected directly into the bale. The fan that is feeding the air is 8,000 CFM, so it has a lot of push coming into it. It's powered by a diesel generator. This is what and the diesel generator and the fan system are inside these shipping containers, and this is the fuel tank that feeds them both. Skip ahead here a little bit. Inside the engine compartment, there's a 500 horse diesel. So the entire power unit is ran off grid. It doesn't require an outside electrical source. So the machine is ran off of a 500 horse diesel generator, and the reason being is it's recovering the heat from the engine, as well as there's grid heaters inside of the plenum in here to create the heat that's going into the bale. It's a very efficient system. I know some People have talked about trying to run it 3-phase, and I just don't know how well that would work because of the heat you're reclaiming off of the engine. I also need to mention that the engine running the fan that's running 8,000 CFM is 200 horsepower. That's why it has a 500 horsepower diesel engine. So once it comes off of the dryer itself, I move it to a cooling floor that is outside of the building, and I push the bales through it just manually with my loader, and they're on this cooling floor for 2 hours. And the idea is that I've taken the bale to 140 degrees, and now I want to cool it down to ambient temperature. And in doing that, we're gaining or losing another 2 to 3 points of moisture in that 2-hour process. And when I set the bales in here when they're hot, you can feel the heat coming out right here. It's almost uncomfortable to stand there. There's that much heat coming out. So, and heat carries the moisture. And this is where they come out the other end, and I just grab them off and stack them. There's a lot of leg work involved. It takes some thought on how to set it up to make the bales flow. Just a few of my costs of production on it are, figure it's around, depending on the price of diesel fuel. Diesel fuel is your only input cost, diesel and repairs. And depending on the price of diesel, it's roughly $4 a ton to run the machine. That's your operating cost there. Figuring my loader and a person to man the machine is around $5 a ton. And I got it down to that level because I'm running 2 machines at once. And one operator could run approximately 4, in my opinion. We're basing our operation on trying to run about 20% of our hay through this machine, which would be about 2,000 tons. That's how I'm getting my cost of productions on it. So on a 10-year useful life, I'm expecting it to cost around $11.25 a ton to own it, and about 2 ton in maintenance costs. So that gives me a total of around $22 to $23 a ton to dry hay is what I'm putting into my cost production. And this versus using preservatives, we figure our preservatives are around $4 a ton, or excuse me, around $10 a ton. And what I might add is a lot of times you can shave a day off of the baling process, or you might save a pass. And in order to I guess to explain the costs that it takes to do this, if you run a tedding pass on 1 ton per acre hay, it's going to cost you around $4 a ton. So if you eliminate that pass, you're putting those dollars towards the drying of it and potentially getting a better product because it's laying in the field a less amount of time. So I guess to summarize, the drying machine, in my opinion, is another tool in your arsenal. I'm not sure if it'd be 100% feasible to run 100% of production through it, but having it in your arsenal, it gives you the ability, gives you confidence to go out and cut hay, maybe on a questionable 3-day window, that in worst case scenario, I have a plan if this doesn't work. Many times in my haying career, I've gotten to a point where the weatherman's saying that it's going to rain in 4 or 5 days, and he's generally off a day. And sometimes it works in your benefit, and sometimes it doesn't. So this gives you some confidence to go out and cut and try to get that hay put up in a timely fashion before it gets rained on. Now, my target market originally was to go into the horse market with this. We have a Steffens resizer, and as we all know, horse hay can't have mold in it, and Mold comes from moisture, so we're trying to take the moisture out. Now, after I've been using this machine, I got into some dairy situations to where they were asking me to have hay that was dry enough they could run through a vertical mixer without having to grind it. And we were able to do that and recoup some of the costs of drying because the customer didn't have to grind it. So, because grinding hay isn't free either. So it keeps opening new doors and opportunities for me. It's a giant experiment in a way. It's something that is still unfolding as we go, and we're learning more about it. Some of the things that I learned last year was we were trying to dry the wetter hay first, where it takes longer to do that, and you're more successful in that 18 to 22% range. And we can take that hay and confidently dry it, put it away in the barn, not have any issues. Some of the hay, once you get over 22 to 24, even 25% moisture, you start to run into pockets of moisture that maybe didn't come out all the way. It's still something we're trying to refine and get through that. I guess with that, does anyone have any questions?
John, there was one question that came in, and it has to do with the ambient humidity and temperature. Are you seeing problems in the summertime when we've got that real hot, muggy weather? Does it really cause problems with drying?
Yes, I guess I forgot to add that. We would try to run it 24 hours a day when we're going heavy. And we did run into some problems at the nighttime. When the dew sets in, the bales react differently. And the bigger problem is not the drying of it, because the air is being heated before it goes in, so it's taking that humidity out. But the bales themselves, the equipment becomes sticky, and the bales won't flow through all their processes. The temperature going into the air temperature going into the bale does fluctuate with the outside ambient temperature. You have to keep an eye on that, and we have to make subtle adjustments in how long the bales are on the dryer to accommodate that. Sometimes in the middle of the day when it's the hottest and it's all going well, we can cut down to 15 to 18 minutes per cycle in order to speed things up.
John, a question came in about the cost of one dryer, and really what kind of tonnages should a person expect to really put through that dryer in order to make it economical. So what is the cost of the dryer and the minimum tonnage you need to run through it per year to make it economical?
Minimum tonnage, I guess, would have to be, you just have to figure that out. But the cost of the machine, is probably going up since I bought them, but it's going to come in around, with the cooling floor per unit, about $250,000. But it's the kind of machine that has a long life, so you really have to figure its useful life in for quite a long time. But like I said, on my farm, each machine can do two ton a cycle, 6 ton per hour. So on a 15-hour run time, you can do about 90 tons a day, if that helps anyone out. And we still apply preservative depending on the situation, because you can dry the hay, dry it in the fall when the air is cooler and the hay will keep longer before it dries. Once it's baled, we've dried up to a week later. So if you have the hay ready, baled, and sitting ready for the dryer, you have some time to get it dried. Earlier part of the summer, we like to try to do it within a day.
Okay. So, John, one last question that came in, and then we're going to take a quick break. And that is, the hay that's in the dryer, are you using a timer to get the temperature that you want in that hay, or are there sensors in the dryer system itself?
The machine is computerized and it takes the temperature, or it has the temperature of the air on the screen, and the amount of time it takes is a set number. It's set to do that. It's computerized. It enters the next batch of bales on its own. So whatever you set it for on the timer is how long it's going to be. And I take temperature readings of the bale itself manually to try to adjust my time accordingly.
All right. With that, John,
I
thank you. Oh,
use
go
a
ahead.
compost. Well, I use a compost temperature gauge to do that. That's what I use.
All right. Thank you very much, John.